So for CSS part, we have to use the style.css file in order to style these elements of the HTML. So the first thing is we need to style the body tag. So inside of the body, I'm going to apply the background color. So background color is going to be like hashtag F2, F2 and F2, which is my favorite, like light gray color. And then I need to apply the font family. So the font family is going to like CSS. So I'm going to use different font at this point of time. So you can see this is our expense tracker font. Okay. And it is actually slightly different than this font. This one actually using the Arial sans serif, but I have actually used here a different font just to make the application little different. In terms of the font, the functionality will remain the same. And after that, we need to style the expense tracker class. So this is our class. So I'm going to copy this, and then I will be here using the dot and then pasting the class name. And then I have actually specified here two curly brackets, opening and closing curly brackets. Inside of the block of the expense tracker, we are going to write our CSS code. So the first thing is I am actually using here max width property. So max width, and then it's going to like 500 pixel. Okay. If I control save, then nothing will change because we have to add the margin property as well. So margin is 0, and then from top and bottom is going to 0, and then I have to specify the from the left and right is going to auto. If I control save it, then you can see it's slightly moved. If I actually increase the size, then it is actually at the center of the screen. Okay. I'm going to actually show this. Okay, so now this is what margin property does, and after that we need to add the padding. So padding is going to like 20 pixel. Okay, and then I have to add the font family. So in font family, again this is one which is Lucida. I actually going to use this font family. Alright, and then I will be using here the border property. So the border is going to like 1 pixel border, solid border. Okay, and then I have to specify the color. So color is going to like CCC, which is a little gray color. So you can see we have this nice border is coming out to the expense tracker. Okay, and after that we need to add the border radius property. Right now the border corners are very thick, like a pointed one. So we want a rounded border. So for that we are actually using a border radius property of 5 pixel. And after that I'm going to specify the background color. So the background color is actually I'm using here this BEIAG, which is beige, this particular color. Okay, so this is for the expense tracker class. The next thing that we want to style is the expense header. So I'm going to copy this because inside of that we need to actually display these expense tracker heading, which is H2 element, and also this button in the same line. So for that we need to first actually use the expense header. So right now this can be done with the use of the flex because these two are actually the child of this expense header. So for applying the flex we need a header, which is I can say that the parent, and then we need a child. So there should be a parent-child relationship, then we can use the flex properly. So that is why I'm going to use this. So I'm going to copy this area. I think I didn't copy this property. Again I'm going to specify a dot, and then instead of expense tracker I'm going to paste it here expense header, then the body of this expense header. So instead of that, first I will be using the property called display flex. So display is going to be flex, and after that I will be here using the justify content, which is going to be like space between, not round, it's going to like space between. If I do that, then you can see both of these elements now appearing at this single row. Right now you can see the button style is actually changed. It looks like a little bit square, but we are going to style just a moment. But first we have to complete this expense header, and after that I need to apply another property, which is align items is going to be center as well. So if I do that, then you can see the button is actually taken up its normal state, or you can say the normal style. Okay, then we have to add another property here, which is for margin from bottom is going to be like 20 pixel. Okay, so this is for the expense header. So the next step is to style this button. So again I am actually going to paste it here dot, then expense header, and then we need to add here a button, or I can just simply use the class of the button because we have specified the class of the button. We can use that as well. or I can select the multiple click selector, because I can use the expense tracker, and then inside of that we can target the button as well. So we can use that approach as well, but I am actually using the class name of the button. So inside of the button, from top and left, I'm going to use the padding property, which is a shorthand property. So this is going to be like 10 pixel, and then I also need to apply the padding from the left and right, which is going to be like 20 pixels. If I do that and if I save, then you can see if I increase the padding to like 30, then you can see from left and right the padding is actually increased. From top and bottom I want to display the padding as 7 pixel, or I can just stick with the 10 pixel. It's totally up to you how you want to style your button. Alright, and then after that I need to specify the background color, which is a nice greenish color. So it's going to like 4CAF50. So here not a X, it's actually a C. You can see this is the button. Now we have to change the color. So color is going to like hashtag FFF, which is for the white, and then we need to remove the border. So border is going to be like none, and then I need to increase the font size. So font size is going to like 16 pixel, and then I need to increase the font weight. So font weight is going to like 600. If I save it, then you can see button is actually changed the style of the button. Then I have actually used the text transform, which is going to be like uppercase. And then the another property I will be using here, a border radius property, which is going to be like 5 pixel. If I control save it, then you can see the button edges is actually become rounded, means the corner of the button becomes round. And then we have the text transform, which actually change the characters, or I can say that the text of the button to uppercase letters. Okay, and the last property, or I can say that the second last property, is going to be the cursor pointer. And then for the hover animation, we are going to here use the transition. So transition, we are going to target the background color, and then we are going to use the color. So color is going to like 0.3 second, and it's going to like ease. If I do that, then you can see there is a nice effect is going on. Okay, so that marks the completion of the code for the add expense BTN. You can see that the color of the button is not changed. That is because the property here is actually the counter reset. We want to change it. It is actually a color. So I save it, then we can see we have this nice add expense white color text. Okay, so the next step is we need to add the CSS for this total expense one. The another one that we have to write the CSS is the expense list. So we are going to write the expense list CSS and also its item. You can see this is a list and all of its item and all of this button CSS we are going to write once we complete the JavaScript part. Okay, so right now I'm going to provide the CSS code for this total expense so that it can actually display in the right side of the container. So to do that, first I'm going to copy the class name of the total expenses, and coming back to the CSS part, here I will be using a dot and adding the total expenses. So inside of that, I just need to do text alignment. So it's going to like text alignment. So I'm going to change the property to right. Once I do that, you can see the text is now appearing at the center. Also, I can actually increase the font weight because it's a heading tag. So I can increase the font weight to like 600, or it doesn't actually. So this property isn't required because it's already bold, because we have used here a element which is called h3. So if we use here a like paragraph element, because before that I have used the paragraph element, but for this tutorial creation I have used here the h3 tag, so it's already bold, so we don't need to specify here the font weight property or like anything else. So okay, so that is for the CSS part of this expense tracker application. So our next step is to actually start the JavaScript part of this expense tracker application.